White House.
Hello, Rick. Nice to see you both.
All right, Rick and Bubba, we're in the East Wing of the White House here with the 45th President of the United States of America, Donald Trump.
Pretty fancy place, right?
I mean, very nice. Very nice.
Not so bad. You've come a long way.
We like the cookies, too.
Yeah,
That's got good cooks here.
That's true.
Thank you for lunch. The lunch was fantastic.
Good. That's great.
What do you normally do? You eat a lot? What do you ask for lunch?
Well, I don't have much time to eat. We're trying to pass tax cuts now, and we've got all sorts of things lined up. Tomorrow I head for China and Japan, South Korea, Vietnam, and the Philippines. Other than that, it won't be very busy.
Right. Won't have much. Well, let's talk about it. The tax plan, we've been talking to some of the different members of your administration, and there seems to be a lot of optimism about it. Of course, the economy is doing great even before this. The corporate tax cut could only make things better.
Well, we're doing great as an economy. We're having tremendous numbers, tremendous stock market numbers. Every day we're hitting new highs. And the tax cuts, but are really needed to really make this country take off like it should. The tax cuts are going to be very important, and I think they're going to happen. There's tremendous spirit in the Republican Party, and I can tell you the Democrats are worried. You know, they're obstructionists, and they're worried about it. But I think we're going to do fantastically well, both in the Senate and in the House.
Can you get it through? That's the key.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think that there is, for instance, we were really there on health care, and then we got a surprise vote, and we're going to come back to health care right after this is over, and we're going to get that done. But I will say that I think there's, you guys know as well as I do. You see what's going on. There's tremendous spirit to get the tax cuts done.
Yes. There's a lot of energy out there. And
tremendous energy.
And during the campaign, when you said you could produce 3% growth, you were scoffed at.
Yeah.
And there it was. We just had it this week. I think it was revised up, 3.1, right?
So we've already hit it. We had 3.2, and now we have 3. And the 3 is in a tough season because we had hurricanes. We had really 5 hurricanes. I mean, bad ones, as you know, probably better than I do.
Yes.
And that's supposed to be a point. That would mean we would have hit 4. So we had a GDP of 3.2 and 3 in the last 2 quarters. And most people didn't think we were going to be there for 3 years. So a lot of it is the fact that I cut the regulations and that companies are already starting to really get back to work. But the regulations have been very seriously cut.
There's a lot of small business that want to reinvest. They want to move forward, but they've been scared because they didn't know what was coming their way.
They're ready to rock, and this country's ready to rock. And don't forget, other countries have GDP at 11, 12, 13, 6, 7. We were at 1.2 when I came in. And it's just not acceptable. And now we're up to 3. And each point in GDP is $2.5 trillion. That's more money than we're talking about, to a large extent, for tax cuts. I mean, that's actually more money than we're talking. 1 point makes a tremendous difference. And nobody can tell me we're not going to get a point. And we just left the Rose Garden, you saw. We have Jay Powell going in at the Fed. And he's a very, very talented guy. I think he's going to do a great job.
Well, I think Americans, which is the reason why I believe that you won, I think a lot of us out there have been so frustrated that it seems like the government doesn't have basic concepts how business works and how the economy works, and so many things the government does lacks logic.
Right.
You know, we're small business owners, and we weren't about to add any employees because everything was so uncertain. Then we went through the thing with Obamacare, and then we have this forced on us, and which has just been
Obamacare, by the way, has been a disaster.
I mean, and we've got to the wheels fast. The wheels have already completely come off on it. It's not like it's going to be bad. It's really bad. And the phone calls we get,
as you know, we're talking about ending the individual mandate and giving that to the middle class and giving it to businesses where they go out and create a lot of jobs. But the mandate has been a disaster. The individual mandate has been a disaster. I mean, people that had insurance before Obamacare, now they have to pay not to have it.
Right.
It's got to be the most unpopular thing, one of the most unpopular things I've seen in government. And so we're even considering getting rid of the individual mandate.
Well, there's a little bit of a frustration because I think there's people that said we voted for this administration and we want their vision for America to be implemented.
Yeah, and they're going to get it. Honestly, they're going to get it. We're going to get repeal and replace, and we're getting very close to getting it anyway. And Obamacare is exploding and imploding, just as I said it would. And the tax cuts are going to be very important. In a way, I feel a little bit guilty leaving for China and Japan and for South Korea now because, this is prime time. But I will say the receptivity, and you people know it as well as I do, the receptivity has been fantastic for the tax cuts.
What about when you talk about the corporate tax rate? I mean, that's obviously something you're very familiar with. Is this enough? to really.
This will be great.
Yeah, because being the highest corporate rate, that made 0 cents.
Right. Well, we're bringing it from 35% down to 20%. That's a tremendous cut. This will be the biggest tax cut in the history of our country. So this will be bigger than anything we've done.
And historically, those have caused big booms.
I think it's going to be tremendous. And also, the reason I say for business needs it because we are one of the highest taxed countries in the world. It's not even close, okay? We're one of the highest tax in the world, and now we're going down to one of the lower. Not the lowest. I'd like to be there, too.
Right.
But, you can only do so much. And by the way, there is a phase 2. Maybe we do a phase 2 if this kicks off like we think it will. But this will have a huge impact on business and a huge impact on jobs.
If you get another shot at it, the Rick and Bubba plan will be 0 deductions and 10% across the board.
Well,
Everybody
that sounds interesting. That's a very fine plan.
I mean,
great economists.
Be difficult to get through, but it would get it done.
We figured God was for it. We could live with it.
Hey, there are some people that agree with that. I have to tell you. Let
me ask you this while we have you. We saw the test walls go up.
Yeah.
Or, how do you feel about it? And you're going to go down and judge them, right?
Yeah. I'm going to go down very soon, and we're going to be, when I get back, sometime after I get back from Asia, and we have 5 and even 6 test walls up. We call them prototypes. And it's interesting. We have the Border Patrol working on it, and they're working hard and nice because they're the ones you want, and they want a certain vision through the wall.
Right.
Because if you think about it, you can't just have a concrete wall that you don't know who's on the other side. Right. So they want to have a vision through the wall. And no, those are some great prototypes. There's 1 or 2 in particular that we like, and I'll be going there over the next 3 or 4 weeks.
I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but I'd go with the Israelis. I mean, if anybody knows how to build a wall,
we got a couple of them from Alabama.
Well, that's true. We do have some Alabama ones in there.
So, will you just judge it and put a ribbon on it, and they win?
Yeah, well, it's basically I'll be picking the winner, but I'll be picking it with ICE, and I'll be picking it with the Border Patrol. Right. And you just mentioned Israel, but their wall works. Yeah, 99.9%. They actually told me 99.9%.
Yeah, that's one reason why we thought it was weird that the Pope acted like he didn't like the wall when he lives
He's got a big one.
He lives inside.
What is that about?
When I heard that was actually during the South Carolina primary. You know that, right? Remember that? And it was during the South Carolina, and I heard that that the Pope was sort of against the wall. And then I said, wait a minute, let me see some of the pictures of the Vatican.
Well, ask the people who had to bury their loved ones, sadly.
Absolutely.
Over the last 24, 48 hours. Because what? It's not immoral and it's not unreasonable to say that we're not saying that people can't come into our country. We simply want to vet them out to keep our citizens secure, and that's a reasonable statement.
And we want a merit-based system.
That's right.
We don't want lotteries. And you can imagine who they put in those lotteries. They're not putting their finest.
No.
They're not putting you guys in the lottery, okay?
No.
They're putting people that... Let's not even talk about it, but they're not putting their finest.
Why is that so hard for people to understand? Why do people oppose
Inconceivable, but I think now they're understanding it, and I would like to say move fast, because in 3 weeks from now, they won't understand it to the same extent. Now I understand a lot of Democrats want to end that lottery system. Well, I've been talking about the lottery system for a while. I've also been talking about chain migration. We have to end chain migration. Yeah. Chain migration's a killer. Yeah. Where somebody like him can come in and they'll bring 20 people, 23 people with him potentially. And in his case, he only has a green card. No, he's a bad person. He's an animal as far as I'm concerned. Absolutely. And we're going to be very tough.
And if people don't understand that and they don't like it, what we keep saying is don't blame our country who now wants to be secure. Blame the people who keep doing these kind of things. And that's what's causing us to start vetting. It's not our fault. It's the behavior of those who are coming in that tend to do harm.
Well, we have extreme vetting, and now we have more than that. I mean, you see what we've been doing. And we've done a great job at the border, 78% down. And you look at that, when, if they went 1% down, it was a big story. We're 78% down, people pouring into the border, and that's before the wall.
Right. So, that's just enforcing the laws that were already in place.
Enforcing laws. The people on Border Patrol and ICE, they endorsed me.
Right. Yeah.
And the first time they've ever endorsed a presidential candidate.
Well, you know why they wanted to be allowed to do their job.
They want to do, they actually work much harder now than they used to, and they love it. Yeah. They're doing their job. They love the country. They're proud of their country, and they're doing their job.
Well, thanks for taking time to include us today.
Thank you.
It's an honor to be here. And of course, the last time you were on with us and you did a liner for us, it made national news, even in the radio industry.
And we appreciate that.
So thank you.
It's true, come to think of it.
Yeah, so just thanks for doing
That's very true. Yeah. Thank you both
Thank you very much.
Very
Appreciate you.
This is a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. Donald Trump taking time to be with us here today on the Rick and Bubba Show. Well, there it was. 045 talked to us from the East Wing of the White House.